Upon being set up in a group together, we were surprised to discover that we all enjoy rock climbing, and we realized that we could use the sport to model two relevant fields of psychology and the ways that they interrelate to each other.
Memory, the ability to store and retrieve information over time.
And emotion, the positive or negative experiences that are associated with a particular pattern of physiological activity. So let's meet the climbers.
My name is Tucker, and I'm a freshman. I don't climb regularly, but I have done it before, and I really enjoy it.
My name is Nathan. I'm a sophomore, and I've been climbing regularly for about 10 months now.
And my name is Will. I'm a junior, and I've been climbing regularly for about 3 years. Let's get to it then.
It's pretty easy to see how emotion relates to this. Climbing is the physiological activity, the route is the pattern, and emotions naturally result from carrying out the activity. But how does memory relate?
You see, climbers often choose a project route, one that they will repetitiously work on that is significantly difficult for their skill level, which they will climb over and over again in the pursuit of a send or a perfect go. In order to do this, they must often memorize the route.
The send is the intrinsic motivation for climbing, that which is inherently satisfying and optimally challenging. The memorization plays a role in this.
First, a climber must stand back to store the route in their mind via visual imagery encoding, the process of sorting information by converting it into mental pictures. This will assist them on their attempts. Then they begin to climb.
During the attempt, a climber's somastatic senses are on high alert. This is where the second type of motivation for climbing comes in, that which is sensation-seeking. This type of motivation encourages an individual to experience high levels of sensory and physical excitement. While experiencing this thrill, every haptic sensation and limb position must also be paid attention, so that the sensory information may be converted into short-term memories, which are non-sensory but are recallable.
On this first attempt, the climber is semantically encoding the route, actively relating previous visual knowledge of the rock to the ideal body positioning and hand grips they're actively encoding. Most of this correlates with instinct theory, as most of these first moves are based solely on instinctual finger placements and balance. On each following attempt, the climber elaborately encodes the route, actively using old and new information to create a sequence of moves to complete the goal.
On the ground between attempts, one communicates with his partners about how to work the route. They engage in chunking, the breaking down information into several pieces so as to better remember the whole. By breaking down the route down into distinct segments, and then by breaking down each segment into individual moves.
This collaboration triggers two other main motivations of climbing. Competence motivation, the desire to demonstrate competence and exercise control over the situation while attempting the route, and achievement motivation, the desire to demonstrate excellence and success when others are present or as compared to others' skill. Additionally, this discussion encourages collaborative recall during attempts, in which the multiple individuals are able to work together to remember the whole route, and the non-climbers are able to assist the climber by calling out his next moves.
On the first attempt, each placement must be made according to the cued recall of the hold type, in which haptic and visual cues indicate what finger or hand positions ought to be used. On the following attempts, each placement is made according to recognition of the hold, in which the climber has begun to learn what finger or hand positions the route consists of and merely needs to recognize the correct position at each stage.
Eventually, the sequence of placements become embedded in the implicit memory, which is set apart for skills, procedures, and conditioned responses. At this point, the route begins to become a complicated dance which requires less and less conscious attention to perform, but the same amount of physical effort. It's at this point that the last main motivation of climbing comes into play. The route has fulfilled its role as a learning goal, which has intrinsic value because of the satisfaction derived in mastering it. Ultimately, the route is often sent when the climber reaches this point.
It isn't always so simple, though. Over the handful of years I've climbed, I have a few flashbulb memories of bad falls, memories which were automatically encoded due to their strong emotional associations. One particular memory of a near-death fall a year ago seriously troubles me on any particularly risky, technique-focused moves with little margin for error. Luckily, the route I chose to send has one move exactly like that.
It sounds to me like that memory is persistent. Memories like that are ones we wish we could forget, but we often can't due to drama or emotional significance.
It also seems like it's affecting your self-efficacy in those particular scenarios, or the degree to which you're convinced of your ability to meet the demands of the situation. Eventually, we all ended up sending our personal project routes.
Full send, baby.
We hope you've enjoyed this discussion of the psychological topics of memory and emotion with rock climbing as a model. We're now prepared to take any questions you might have.